Practice is actually a biblical principle, and you do not reach purpose without practice. Jesus up on the cross is not the greatest moment of purpose. For me, I would argue the greatest moment of purpose was him on his knees in the garden, because that's the place where he decides if he's going to do it or not. Jesus goes to the garden to pray before he is about to be crucified. And he prays a very human prayer for him to be fully God and fully man. He says, God, if there's any other way, let this cup pass before me. But not my will, yours be done. This is the moment when Jesus stands up from that prayer where he has decided to step into purpose. You want to know how? You want to know what Jesus was doing from 12 to 30? Practicing. Jesus does not get to the moment of submitting his will to God's plan without the practice of 12 to 30 years old. Could it be that maybe the season you're in is simply a season for you to practice? A season for you to practice grace to people who don't deserve it. A season for you to practice loving those who seem unlovable. Some of us, we know we're supposed to practice a jump shot, but do you practice joy? This is so practical. Do you practice being joyful? And many of us, we can get so frustrated because we have an expectation of our purpose for something we never practice. But you know the beautiful thing? You can start practicing today. There's a basketball player, my favorite basketball player, named Allen Iverson. And he's in an interview, and the interviewers are like, hey, I've heard you haven't been going to practice. And the whole interview, they talk about practice. And literally in this interview, you should look it up after this, he's sitting there and he just keeps saying, I think there's a counter on one of the videos, he says it like 20 times. He goes, we talking about practice? Practice? Not the game where I win. Practice? And I thought, Allen Iverson is amazing. If you're watching this, what up, AI? I love you. But you never heard Kobe argue practice. You never hear Steph Curry arguing practice, because they've realized practice is just a part of it. I hope our church is never the spiritual Allen Iversons. Really, God? You want me to practice loving them? You want me to show kindness to them? Okay, you can argue practice, but God is saying today, if you would just practice, I promise you, your practice is gonna make your purpose. Your purpose is so big, it's worth you practicing. It's worth you practicing your patience. It's worth you practicing your instrument. It's worth you practicing writing the book. It's worth you practicing stepping into leadership. It's worth you practicing saying, I'm sorry. The story of the principle of the talents. One person is given one thing to steward, another person is given two, another person is given five. The master comes back, the servant with one buried it. The servant with two doubled it, and the servant with five doubled it. And here's what happens that sometimes we don't like to acknowledge. The one that didn't practice or steward or invest or double their talent, biblically, you want to know what happened? It was taken from them and given to the one with 10. God wasn't asking the person with 1 to give him back 10. God is asking you, what will you do with what I have given you?